Mark, good to see you again. Let's start with Atta Hingano. Brought off towards the end. How is he?
No, he's fine. Yeah, he just I think he was more tired than anything else after, as he likes to remind me, he hit 10 metres per second when he made a break. So I think his lungs were just feeling it. But he took a bit of a bump on his ankle. And to be fair, I was just about to get Taylor on and give Macca a rest. So I just thought, we'll give Atta a 20-minute breather instead, but it will fine to continue if needed.
I like that in Atta. He's a numbers man, is he? Likes to keep.
No, he picks and chooses when he wants to be a numbers man. If he'd hit 5 metres per second, believe me, he'd say that numbers mean nothing. But yeah, he was Usain Bolt on Sunday, according to him.
Love that. Bailey, getting through the game at the weekend, how's he getting on after these back-to-back ACLs? Yeah,
I thought he was really good, to be fair, in the stints that he did. He did everything that we wanted him to do as a coaching team. Obviously, the week before, we'd sent him to Newcastle just to get that confidence in it in a live environment. And it's a pleasure to have him back. He's one of the characters of the squad. And just delighted for Bailey personally. To do one ACL takes some coming back from, but to do two in that short space of time, it definitely tests your character. So glad that he's come through with that, and delighted that we've got him back for these final few games.
Is he going to be maybe a nice character to have on the plane, perhaps?
Well, yeah, I hope not. I hope it's just everyone's got their head down being asleep. But knowing Bailey, he'll have about 16 coffees before 6 a.m. and he'll be bouncing on that flight. Yeah.
Will he be clapping when the plane hits the tarmac?
I don't know. No, I think he's pretty calm on that. That'll be me.
What about Sam Cook? I know he's probably not expected to feature in this match, but how's he progressing?
He's coming along nice. He should be back, all being well, as long as there's no setbacks. He'll be back in contention from Doncaster.
And any other new concerns that you've got to ponder?
No, it's pretty much as you were before the London game. The only two that will be back in contention are Danny Richardson, who'll join up with us. All being well, he'll have got the all clear. And Sam Cook will be in contention. So, as long as we don't get any fresh injuries, we'll be... there'll be a few selection headaches for me.
Probably crossed this bridge already, but having someone of Danny's calibre coming into the camp at this late stage of the season must be so refreshing.
I just think it is. Yeah, it's a sign of where the club wants to be, isn't it? That we're getting depth in key positions, and Danny will definitely offer that depth. And after speaking to him on the phone, he's coming along for the right reasons. And can't wait for him to A, get in our environment, and B, start pushing up the competition in them spots.
Let's talk about Toulouse before I'm going to have to move to some political stuff later regarding Super League and 14 clubs. But this top two clash, you only had two players in your three-quarter line that are similar to last time. Remember you saying you had to put Edwards as one of them out as a centre out on the wing. So is it almost in itself like you've got, I know they've still been here, but it's almost like new players for this rematch?
I think Toulouse had to move one or two around as well, but both teams are kind of in the groove now, shall we say. We're just looking forward to it. I'm sure for a neutral fan, it's a mouth-watering clash. You've got first versus second in the table, and from our point of view, obviously. We're just taking it for what it is. It's the most important game because it's the next game for us. It's important that we nail how we want to play. I know we put some points on London, but there's still a few areas we feel we need to fix up ball in hand there. And needless to say, defensively we need to be a lot better. I thought there were 3 pretty soft tries, if I'm honest with you, versus them. And we know we need to be better versus Toulouse, but at the same time, we also know that if we do play better, we've got a lot of strike that can trouble them as well. So it's whoever's going to nail their game on Friday night, and may the best team win.
Yeah, great war of attrition, and obviously these are the things that as a coach, but also as players, you look forward to, because does it almost give you a bit of clarity? You don't have to really think too much about the tactical side of the game because it's two teams going head to head at the top. You know what's at stake, and it makes things maybe a bit easier.
There's two different things, isn't there? You've got to nail the tactics and how you want to play. You look at your opposition and look at your strengths and look at where you can tweak it, but there's obviously all the other stuff that comes with it too. I know we've got 2 points on the board and Toulouse have got a game in hand, but needless to say, it's going to give you a 2-point advantage with only 2 games left in our case and 3 games for Toulouse. So, yeah, we're not going to shy away from that. We spoke about that, and you know, it's sort of occasion we want to relish. You know, we spoke about it on the build up to Wembley. We spoke about it on the games that came after Wembley, and it's something we spoke about this week. And as I said, it's whoever's gonna nail how they want to play on Friday night.
You mentioned about how defensively he was a bit loose against London. Some of the tries that he conceded, you wasn't happy with, but against Toulouse, you said you was defensively very sound. So did you feel maybe you were thinking, well, I didn't have to really concentrate on that aspect from the previous game, and it's maybe just giving you a little extra to work on?
I think there were loads different. If I'm honest with you, at that part of the season, what were it, 7-6 if I remember rightly? It were different weather conditions. You know, needless to say, both teams had a few players out, a few combos different. But the main thing for me is you're at the start of your year, you're still, you know, building your groove and getting that momentum behind you. And I think at this stage of the year, everyone's got that groove about them, haven't they? So I think it'll be a different game in that sense, that both teams will look a little bit more fluid, shall we say. You know, Toulouse have got some outstanding players. I think, you know, the back five gets them on the front foot brilliantly. And then with Shorrocks and Lecans, they've got two halves that can cause you a lot of trouble, and they've got a pack that can pack a punch. So, you know we need to be at his best, but at the same time, we're also confident in the players we've got available that, you know, we can cause Toulouse some problems as well.
What did you enjoy about last year? Because I think for the neutral, you went there as the underdog. This time you go in there as the favourite in many people's eyes.
Listen, I can't control what other people think. You know, people will put us down as favourites because we're top at league, and we've, you know, that's something that we've been wanting for a long time, to be, you know, top of the league, and it's something that you've got to embrace. I mean, Toulouse are a full-time outfit. You know, needless to say, they get more training time than us on the field, but at the same time, we're confident in ourselves as a group, and you know, the sort of games we want to be involved in, and you know, whether we're classed as favourites or not, it's irrelevant. It's about, you know, nailing your prep, making sure that you show up on Friday night and deliver how you want to deliver.
Away from the pitch, the deadline for an application for the next tier of rugby league is on Tuesday. Any indication of what's going on behind the scenes that you can share with us? I
do not even stress myself with any of that. No, I'm being serious too. My wife were asking me about this actually the other day, and one thing I love about Clint is he just shields me from that. He doesn't. I don't have to get involved in any of that politics and all that jazz that comes with it. You know, I think one thing I will say is the club's definitely showed their intent with some of the signings that we've got on board. You know, as I said, Paul Vaughan, you know, Josh Griffin, you know, and others that are there too. I think they definitely show that we want to be classed in that mix. But you know, what will be. That's for you know, Clint and the team to sort. And yeah, I'm just worrying about this group of men that I've got at the moment and achieving our goals that we want to achieve this year. You know, if you start thinking about all that, you're going to take the eye off the ball on what we want to do this year. And you know, I'm grateful to the club that I get employed to coach, and all I have to worry about is coaching, you know, the group of players that I've got. Let's
say then the hierarchy have put something in, hypothetically. Would you be expectant or hopeful of possibly being in Super League next year?
Listen, if I speak just my own point of view, I think York's a great shout for Super League. You know, it's an iconic city. You know, we're getting the foundations in place in terms of as first team now. Obviously, we got knocked out in the semi-finals last year, and you know, we're making a good charge this year. And you know, who knows what's going to happen the rest of this year? You know, the academy plans are all in place. You know, I'm sure there's to be some more news announced over the next few weeks on other things, but I won't spoil that. You know, the financials and that, I'm sure, you know, Clint's done a cracking job with all that. I'm sure that'll breeze through it. The stadium's unbelievable, the training ground's unbelievable. You know, I don't know what more people want. I know people say about fans, but, you know, it's like anything, if a team's in the top league, you naturally attract a few more fans. Like you look at, I suppose, Leeds United this year, well-supported team in the Championship, very well-supported team. They've gone into Premier League. There'll be a sellout at Ellen Road every single week, and I can't see how York could be any different in that sense. That you've got your St Helens, your Wigans, your Leeds, your Hulls, your KRs all rocking into town, and believe me, that stadium will be packed out every week with York fans and obviously well-supported opposition. So I've got no qualms on that. So from my point of view, the reason I came to York is because I saw Super League potential. I want to coach in Super League. I've obviously had a taste of it, and I want to be back there. And Clint, when I first came here, he's backed up everything that he's said. He's a man of his word. He's delivered on what he said he'd deliver, and I'd like to think I'm delivering on what he thought I'd deliver and what I knew I could deliver. And we just got to hope that the powers that be see that, and we make a strong case to get in Super League. I think as opponents that we play on Friday night too, I think for me they're probably doing everything right to be in Super League as well. They've been in and around it for the last 4 or 5 years. Traditionally finishing in that top 2 in the Championship. Obviously Wakefield last year were a bit of a what's the right word? It probably balanced the scales too much in Wakefield's favour in terms of the spending power they put on the quality of player. But I think herself, Toulouse, Bradford. There's a lot of arguments for London, which I fully understand in terms of getting a presence down south. I think if you're looking at the commercialisation of the game, which, let's be fair, a lot of people don't, but it's really important. If you've got teams strategically located throughout the UK or in France, wherever, it appeals to a lot more blue chip companies that may want to get involved in that. So there's so many different things that people's got to consider. But one thing I think York ticks all the boxes on is that I've just spoke about. Like it's such an iconic city in the UK, and it's not going to be a detriment to anyone, is it? When you speak about York, it's known as a pretty affluent city. It's got a lot of tourism. One of the most visited cities in the UK, and I'm sure if you was let's say a Wigan fan, a St Helens fan, you play in York in June, July, August, whenever, you're going to make a long weekend of it, aren't you, if you can, because there's a lot to do around there. And in turn that's going to bring a lot of commercialisation into the city itself. So I've got no doubt that the businesses and the councils of York will get behind us. So I'm all for it, but that's just my opinion, and we'll see what happens over the next 6 weeks.
It's a good opinion. It kept you going for 3 minutes there.
As I say, one thing Clint's great at is I don't even have to worry about that. My job is I'm a head coach. I get paid to coach York's first team and give my opinions on that and deliver on that. And Clint's doing an outstanding job in taking York to that next level. And personally, I'd be disappointed if York wasn't one of them teams, but that's just my personal opinion.
Players itching for it as well? Are they easy to control over all of this? Do they mention it at all?
Obviously there's conversations about next year, as there always is, and the only difference is that with it being so late, it is a late deadline. There's no hiding away from that you've got to speak to players on what a deal would look like in the league above, or a deal would look like if you're in the current league. So I think that's the only difference. But we've got a real tight-knit group, and I'll be honest with you, we're that focused on achieving what we want to achieve this year. We don't just want to win a 1895 Cup. Don't get me wrong, that were an unreal experience, but that's been and gone. We want to be competing for the league as we are. We want to be competing in the playoffs, and there's probably four or five teams, or well, there'll be 6 teams in the playoffs that are all putting their hand up and capable doing that, so we can't take his eye off the ball and start worrying about, you know, all that sort of jazz, because we'll end up getting burned pretty badly.
And just one more, because I missed it off earlier. Liam Harris, having him back for this game against Toulouse, for that progression. He didn't play in the last game. Just again, it's that feeling of, even though he isn't a new signing, he's going to feel like a breath of fresh air, isn't he? Yeah,
listen, Liam and Atta, as a 6 and 7, I personally don't feel there's a better half-back combo in the Championship. I think they complement each other really well. They've got a great partnership and understanding of how each other play. So that's really good to get back. I think Liam, for me, is so far one of the Championship players of the year. He makes our team tick. You know, him, Maka, Tower and Atta's a great spine, and you put Geordie in that mix too. They all nail the roles really well, but more importantly, Liam's as captain, and you know, how he polices that squad is, you know, he's great. So really glad he's back. You know, and he got through his game. I thought London tested him. You know, obviously made sure his knee were nice and right. So Liam will be a lot better for getting through that game as well.